better say for you to be quiet. Good evening. It is 5:30. We're going to call the council meeting to order. I would encourage everybody to put their phone on silent. And then let's please all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to adjust our agenda a little bit. First item that we need to do tonight is to appoint Sherry Jones as our acting clerk. So could I have a motion to that effect, please?
So move.
Second. Yep, and you want to take the roll, please?
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Here.
Councilmember Rowe?
Here.
Councilmember Stevens?
Here.
Councilmember Strebe?
Here.
Here.
I'm here. Now, we will do a roll call of the council. And you just voted to accept Sherry as our acting clerk for the evening. Now we'll do the roll call of the council and mayor.
Councilmember Dalby?
Here.
Councilmember Myers?
Here.
Councilmember Rowe?
Here.
Councilmember Stevens?
Here.
Councilmember Strebe?
Here. And I'm also present. Item B is the consent agenda. Do you want to go through that, please?
Number 1, minutes from regular meeting number 9 on March 1st and special meeting number 10 on March 8th, 2016 as presented. 2, Civil Service Commission Police Officer Entrance Eligibility List, March 9th, 2016. 3, Salvage Dealer License for Rosamond's Inc., 902 East Main Street. Number 4, Salvage Dealer License for Alter Metal Recycling, 404 North Forest Avenue. And set the date for a public hearing on the plans, applications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the WPC secondary clarifier flow splitter project. Set the date for a public hearing on the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost of the beach boiler replacement project, 2016. And resolution number 59, 2016, authorizing payment for renewal of the city liability and property insurance for March 16th, 2016 until March 15th, 2017 in the amount of $450,276.28. Resolution number 72, 2016, approving the contract, bond, and certificate of insurance for the Lambourne Street Sewer Improvements Project. Resolution number 73, 2016, approving the contract, bond, and certificate of insurance for the North Court Street Reconstruction Project, that's Albany to Maple. Resolution number 74, 2016, approving the contract, bond, and certificate of insurance for the HMA PCC Street Crack Repair Program 2016. Resolution number 75, 2016, fixing date for a meeting on the proposition of the issuance of not to exceed 3 million general obligation urban renewal bonds of the City of Ottumwa, State of Iowa, for essential corporate urban renewal purposes and providing for publication of notice thereof. Resolution number 78, 2016, setting a public hearing on the intent to dispose of city-owned property located at 909 Russell. Number 79, 2016, setting a public hearing on the intent to dispose of city-owned real estate property described as vacated 8-foot alley lying south of Romer Ave and west of North Street between lots 20 and 24, first addition to Stiles Place. Resolution number 80, 2016, fixing the date for a meeting on the proposition of the issuance of not to exceed 100,000 general obligation bonds of the City of Ottumwa, State of Iowa for general corporate purposes and providing for publication of notice thereof. And 15, approving beer and liquor applications for Smokin' Joe's at 618 Church, Noe's Bar and Grill at 101 South Madison, Hy-Vee Drugstore, 1140 North Jefferson, Snobby's Nightclub at 305 East Main Street, Safari at 305 South Avenue, and Casey's General Store, 1886, 504 West Mary, and Las Palmas Nightclub, 321 East 2nd Street, and then all applications pending final inspections.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'm sorry, Mayor. Yes, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Councilman.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Any questions?
Just one, is this Snobby's nightclub on Second Street,
Yes.
is that the building that was condemned, and has that, if it was, has that been updated? It isn't part of the, okay.
It was the other building west of that that was condemned,
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
part of it. It's one that he was using right after the tree.
the elbow room. Yeah. Okay. We'll take the roll on the consent agenda.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes,
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Okay, we need to have an approval for tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Take the roll.
Member Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Item D is reports from city officers, boards, commissions, and other committees. And the first one on our agenda is number 1, the Bridgeview report and presentation by Michael Phillipson. So you come forth and we'll be glad to hear from you. Sure. Come on up to the microphone and talk right into the microphone, please, Michael, because it doesn't always pick up unless you're very directional.
Okay. Mayor Lazio and council, I am here representing the Bridgeview Center, Inc. Board of Directors. And as has been our custom, when the endowment fund is above $2 million at the end of the previous year, December 31st, 2015 in this case, we present a check to the city in the amount of 5% of that total. And so I would like to, on behalf of the board, present to the this check for $129,096 to the city. Thank you. Any questions?
No, we're always happy to see you when you bring us
Very
money.
Very good.
Thank you. That
Thank
will
you.
certainly help with our performance at Bridgeview. We appreciate that, Michael. Thank you very much. Item number 2 is a Ragbri update, Pam Coppins. And Pam, you can step up and identify yourself and
Pam Coppins, one of the executive co-chairs of Ragbri Ottumwa. Mr. Mayor and City Council, you'd like an update?
just a short one.
Okay, all right. We have our next meeting on March 29th. We just attended, 26 of us attended an all-day meeting put on by the Des Moines Register, Ragbri, last Thursday. It was an excellent meeting. We took a lot of good things away, some things that we can do better, and some things that we'll repeat. In preparation for the announcement to the community, we are planning a party on Thursday, March 31st at Bridgeview, hours 5 to 7, and that's when we'll announce to the community our entertainment, also showcase. We will invite, it will be an open meeting. To, do you want me to speak up?
I think Mr. Rogers is adjusting the volume measure.
Okay. Anyway, we will invite everybody. We will have all 19 committees set up and encourage volunteerism, explain some of the things that are going on, but it'll be a party for all of Ottumwa and an opportunity for all Ottumwans to get involved in whatever way that suits them. So it's for information and gathering volunteers. So we're pretty pleased with that. And then tonight, is it on the agenda, your city ordinance?
Yes.
So we need to present that 3 times to the city council and the main objective with having that done is it's actually by Ragbri, all overnight host towns must pass the city ordinance for us to be able to host RAGBRAI. And the guts of it is that restaurants and bar owners are restricted to what is already available, so that you cannot take a restaurant or a bar and extend the territory like outside, or extend already their outdoor space into a larger space. The primary reason for that is that we have to ensure the safety of Ottumwans. Our beverage garden is the main source of revenue. As you know, it's not in the city budget to pay for RAGBRAI, so we have to raise the money. And to date, we don't have our current 2016 budget done yet, but in 2009, it was approximately $120,000. So that gives you of the kind of money that we have to raise to pay for the event. And you don't just do that with t-shirt sales. So the primary source is your beverage garden, your major entertainment, and your beverages. So in order to have the emphasis on that and to drive traffic to that, that's the reason for the ordinances. If you allowed any business to expand and host parties and entertainment, it would dilute that beverage garden, therefore the revenue source. And RAGBRAI does not want to see that happen, because that would be very detrimental to the success of RAGBRAIs if towns can't fund it. So, questions?
Would you identify your executive committee, please?
Yes. Our first one is Mary Beth Hammer. She's our executive co-chair number 1. And then we have Abby Kiesling, who's our executive co-chair number 2 and the CVB director. And then we have myself. And number 4 is Jeff Messerschmidt, and he's executive number 4. And then the other members of the executive team are the treasurers, are Mark Rowe and Alex Barr, and then our recording secretary, that is Brenda Case.
Very good. Any questions for Pam?
I have
Thank you.
one.
Yes, Mark.
However this goes tonight, how do you intend to communicate with the businesses, the groups that will be impacted by this ordinance?
I'm watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Meeting. Actually, we came up away from the meeting last Thursday with a really good idea, and at least we think a different community last year did this, and it was very successful. We plan on holding an open meeting, inviting all restaurants, bars, any community groups to this meeting to explain the process. Because what the town told us from last year is, if you gather everybody or the people that are interested together and you explain why we need to do this, that everybody was on board with it. It's the rumor mill that causes the issues, and you have 1 or 2 people that go and stir the pot and get people all agitated, and therefore, we don't need that. So we think the first week in April, and Jody Gates, our food vendor co-chair, will be there. We'll have the people at the meeting that can answer the questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pam. Appreciate it. We'll see you again, I'm sure, before the RAGBRAI gets here. The third item on our reports is Abby Kiesling. So Abby, you have the microphone. Come up and introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Abby Kiesling. I'm the Executive Director of the Ottumwa Area Commissioners Bureau. Thank you for having me tonight. April 1st is my 1-year anniversary in Ottumwa, so I thought this was a great time to come and visit all of you and let you know what the CVB has been up to the last year. One of the big highlights of the year was the CVB and the Bridgeview Center hosted the Iowa Tourism Conference on October 21st through 23rd. Nearly 300 tourism professionals from across the state attended the conference. We received lots of positive feedback from attendees, as well as the Iowa Office of Tourism. Some of the highlights of the tourism included a tour through Ottumwa and Wapello County, where we were able to take about 12 Iowa Welcome Center employees and show them everything we have here, and that went over really well. We had a pre-conference reception at the Market on Main, where all the food was prepared by the vendors. Once again, received rave reviews for that. The Wednesday evening event featured the Bridgeview Center and the American Gothic Performing Arts Festival. And then on Thursday evening of the event, all the attendees went to Fairfield, where they enjoyed dinner and some entertainment. So overall, it was a great event. We received lots of positive feedback from everyone involved. So that was great. Moving on, in July 2015, I applied for and received a Regional Sports Authority grant from the Iowa Economic Development Authority in the amount of $50,000. These Sports Authority grants are available every year, and any CVB in Iowa can apply. The grant funds, which we have received, have been used to cover the hosting fees for the 2016 Babe Ruth World Series that will be held here in Ottumwa in August. One of the things I was charged with when I started was to get a visitor guide, community guide together for Ottumwa, and we did that, got it right before the conference. We had 15,000 copies printed, newly designed, comprehensive, and we got it, like I said, in October 2015, and so far, we've sent out nearly 8,000 copies to Iowa Welcome Centers, local businesses, and groups visiting the community. A grant was received from the Ottumwa Regional Legacy Foundation for printing of the guides. The Ottumwa, and also along with the guides, we did get new tear-off maps and new Ottumwa maps. And those were, that project was started when Mark Ekman was still here, and he received a grant from the Wapello County Foundation and a donation from the Southeast Iowa Regional Board of Realtors, I think it was. So we did get those done. They didn't come till after the conference, but we do have those in our office as well. The Ottumwa Hotel Motel tax took a 37% jump in fiscal year 15 and reached a record high of $531,172. Also, the 2014 Iowa County's Travel Economic Impact Study indicated Wapello County's travel expenditures were up almost $5 million, which was a 5.73 increase from 2013. In fiscal year 15, the CVB funded a total of $4,500 in sponsorships to local organizations to help promote their events. So far in fiscal year 16, the CVB has funded $9,000 in sponsorship requests. And I want to note too that the sponsorship application that is in use right now will probably be revised, and we will be rolling out something new as of July 1st to be more in tune with our marketing plan and maybe to focus more with those sponsorships to get money or to get visitors from outside the community here. But anyway, you look at it, the CVB sponsored and spent some money to help local events attract people. Patty Robertson was hired as a part-time office assistant in the CVB office on October 1st. She works approximately 20 hours a week. Also, the CVB hired Hannah Wallace as a full-time communications and marketing coordinator, and she began her job on January 4th, 2016. They both have been a great addition to the CVB and have been instrumental in keeping the office open now Monday through Fridays, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The CVB has been transforming into a visitor center as well over the last year. We have been working on signage and have regional as well as statewide information available. We also offer a free cell phone charging station. That's become rather popular when people are there for events, and we do sell some t-shirts. The visitor center is open 37.5 hours a week, and we did do an experiment over the weekend of the Chamber's Home and Garden Show and kept the CVB office open, and the staff took shifts over the weekend, and we had a total of 63 visitors in the office. So we were excited about that, just tried something new. Maybe that's something we'll keep up in the future when there are big events at Bridgeview. Many people didn't know the office was there, didn't know we had visitor information, so it was a good weekend for us. The CVB has hired Ladine Bowen, Associate Director with University of Iowa's Institute of Decision Making, to assist with developing a 3-year marketing plan. She has gained stakeholder input and done various assessments to guide decisions in implementing goals to increase the organization's relevance, as well as identify opportunities to further develop the CVB as a destination marketing organization. Ms. Bowen will attend the March CVB Advisory Committee meeting where she will present our marketing plan, and that will hopefully go into effect July 1st, 2016. The CVB has also been working on ramping up its group tour marketing efforts. In late spring of 2015, we placed a co-op ad in a national leisure group travel magazine, and so far have received 272 leads from that. And I've sent out packets to almost all of those people where we had valid information for them. The ad was done in partnership with the American Gothic House Center, Hotel Ottumwa, and American Gothic Performing Arts Festival. Holly Berg with the American Gothic House Center, and I attended the Travel Iowa Marketplace in Pella last November and marketed Ottumwa and Wapello County to 45 group tour planners. Last weekend, Ottumwa hosted an overnight tour for the Heritage Club International Group that is having their conference at Honey Creek Resort this week. The event went well. We received a lot of positive feedback from the planners. The group stayed at the Hotel Ottumwa, and we had a welcome reception for them in Appanoose Rapids. They had dinner and a performance of the Iowa Cabaret at Bridgeview Center. And Saturday morning, they toured the market and went to the American Gothic House Center before heading to Fairfield, where they spent Saturday afternoon and evening in Fairfield. Lastly, the CVB put in a bid to host the 2016 Central Iowa Tourism Region and Iowa Group Travel's annual Travel Iowa Marketplace on November 2nd and 3rd, 2016. We received notification a few weeks ago that we received the bid, so that's an event we'll be looking forward to in November. And this is once again an opportunity to showcase Ottumwa not only to our tourism partners across the state, but also to approximately 60 tour planners. The CVB has been busy working with local partners on such projects as the Ottumwa Photography, Looking Good online workshops for local businesses, and we also helped out in the planning of the Partners in Progress banquet in February. I also attend a monthly staff meeting with my colleagues at Partners in Progress. The CVB continues to market local events on exploreottumwa.com, event e-newsletters that are sent over to 550 people bi-monthly, and the CVB has printed and distributed 1,000 quarterly printed calendar of events over the last year. I continue to represent OACVB at industry-related events such as Central Iowa Tourism Region, Iowa Destination Marketing Alliance, Iowa Society of Association Executives, and I attended the Upper Midwest CVB Conference in Minneapolis in September. So kind of some of the highlights, what you can expect from the CVB in the upcoming year. One of the biggest changes for the CVB will be the restructure of the organization. The CVB has always operated as a committee under Bridgeview Center, Inc., but is now reorganizing as a standalone entity with blessings of the Advisory Committee and Bridgeview Center, Inc. The bylaws and articles of incorporation are ready to be filed once they are approved at the next Bridgeview Center, Inc. meeting. With this process will come a name change for the CVB. After July 1st, it will be known as the Greater Ottumwa Convention and Visitors Bureau. After that, the organization will then file for nonprofit status. We're very excited about this. We think this is a great step for the CVB to be standing alone on their own like many of our partner organizations. The 3-year marketing plan will be put into action on July 1st, 2016. Some of the top priorities for that are a new brand for the CVB that will include new logos and a new website. Signage continues to be an issue within the city, and we hope to work with our partners on this in the upcoming year. We would also like to provide visitor information kiosks in vicinities such as the Amtrak station and other high-traffic areas for visitors in the community. We are starting to focus on record-keeping processes so we can chart the growth of the CVB and also analyze our return on investment with our marketing efforts. We also feel that these processes will help you as a city council see our growth and know that your investment in the CVB and tourism in Ottumwa is being utilized to help strengthen our local economy. We are looking forward to kicking off our industry newsletter that we feel will keep our partners in the hospitality industry in the loop as what's happening with the CVB. Another idea that we are considering is offering economic impact surveys of local events. There was a model that was done by the Iowa Destination Marketing Alliance, and we feel that many of the local events, that might be something they might be interested in to find out what their events, what impact they're having on the local economy. We have just kicked off our Ottumwa Best of in the Hospitality Industry contest on Facebook. People can take the survey and pick their favorite in each category, whatever that may be. We have 20 categories from best happy hour to best pizza or whatever it may be. And the winners of each category will be placed in a promotional brochure, receive a certificate, and be recognized on the CVB website and social media platforms. You can all find the link to take the survey on our Facebook page, Greater Ottumwa CVB. On behalf of the Ottumwa Area Convention and Visitors Bureau and myself, I would like to thank you all for your support over the last year. And always feel free to contact me if you have any questions, suggestions, anything. My office is located in the Bridgeview Center. Many of you know how to get a hold of me. So thank you again. I appreciate you having me here tonight. Does
Thank
anyone
you,
have any
Abby. That's a very
questions?
complete report. Are there any comments or questions?
Yes, I would like
Councilman
to.
Myers?
I'm sorry. Abby had worked several years now on the Convention Visitors Bureau Board, and I knew your predecessor, director prior to you, Mark Ekman, was so well respected, and yet then for you to come in and you said your year anniversary is almost up, but just would like to thank you for what a fantastic job you've done. One of the points you hit on that for me personally was developing the visitor center, it becoming more of a focal point, and you've certainly done that. And then I know, even though you listed several things, there are so many other things being on the board that I'm aware of. One, today in talking with you, your outreach to Randy Bowling with Bowling Motors,
Yes. Mhm.
for your project, and bringing speakers in and so forth, and how you even, you reach out and you accommodate, and you're just
Thank
doing
you.
a fantastic job.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll have you back again.
Yes, I will be back soon.
Okay. Item 4 on your agenda is, was going to be a report from Juanita Zavalia, and she stopped in this afternoon, and they are working with Active Ottumwa, which, as you know, is a project of the University of Iowa. I put a flyer in your mailboxes. They are going to ask that we do a proclamation for April 6th, which is a National Walking Day, and they're going to encourage people downtown in the businesses to walk the streets and actually take some time to do some exercising during the noon hour. She may come back in April and talk to us, but I excused her from the presentation tonight, so that's why she's not here. And then an item that's not on the agenda, I asked City Administrator Andy Morris to make a couple of comments about next week. So, Andy?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder to Mayor and Council, we have another special meeting coming up on the 22nd of March. That'll be a week from this evening. At that special meeting, there will be 2 topics covered. One will be the discussion of the street overlay project, reconstruction project as well, and you will note at that there will be a list of the streets that will be covered during that period. Larry Seals will be here, obviously, to convey what those streets are. In addition to that, I believe the mayor previously, there will also be an update on the St. Joseph project.
That is correct. Blackbird Investment Company is going to come from Des Moines and give the council a complete update on that project. And I would encourage you to be thinking of your questions and concerns and any information you have from constituents about that project. So they'll be here next week. Okay, item E, is there anyone in the audience that wants to address an issue on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll move to department recommendations. So, Barry?
Number 1, approve a 2-year lease agreement for the Ottumwa Levee System Farm Ground between 120th Avenue and 77th Street in Wapello County, Iowa, with Chuck Craver. Recommendation, approve the lease agreement for the Ottumwa Levee System Farm Ground with Chuck Craver effective March 1st, 2016.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Joni, do you want to make any comments?
I'd be glad to, Your Honor. The city owns approximately 44 acres of potential farm ground along with timber and scrub ground, which is behind the levee system at the Water Pollution Control Facility between 120th Avenue and 77th Street in Wapello County, Iowa. A portion of this property had been farmed by a local farmer since approximately 1991, although the city received no revenue for it. In addition, the timber and scrub ground was subject to fires that jeopardized the facility. Individuals would also illegally hunt on this ground. The city recently put out a request for sealed bids to rent this parcel, which included mowing the area a minimum times per year to keep it clear of weeds, trees, brush, and debris. And this will reduce potential fire hazard in that area. The city did receive one bid in the amount of $1,000 for each year of the agreement. The bid was from Chuck Craver, and staff recommends accepting this. I've attached a copy of the GIS aerial view that was provided by the engineering department, as well as the proposed lease agreement, and would request that you approve that tonight.
Okay, any questions for Joni? Hearing none, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, public hearing. This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the plan specifications, form of contract, and the estimate cost for the Jefferson Street parking lot green infrastructure project.
Okay, Larry, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This project consists of installing approximately 4,600 square feet of permeable pavers and cast unit pavers, limestone block, as well as associated native plantings, trees, and associated landscaping per drawing, and specifications of the Jefferson Street parking lot green infrastructure. The project is scheduled to begin May 16th, 2016, and to be completed by July 22nd, 2016. Bids will be received and opened by the City of Ottumwa on April 13th, 2016, and the bid report and a bid award recommendation will be presented at the City Council meeting on April 19th. The engineer's estimate is $227,445. This is actually tied with the Jefferson Street project, which comes up later in the agenda as H4. One of the things, we had let that project originally as just a concrete parking lot replacement with Legacy paying for that project. Then we were approached by the state, and it'll be explained in detail in H4, but they had money available for green infrastructure. So we went back to the drawing board, redesigned part of it, and then split out some of the work and created this project.
I call your attention, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone that wants to address this item. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
Thank you. Take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 70, 2016, approving the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Jefferson Street parking lot green infrastructure project. Recommendation, pass and adopt. Resolution 70, 2016.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Any questions for Larry on this project?
Yeah, I have one. The original contract on overhauling this parking lot, that's still in place with Turner Concrete, is that correct?
That's correct. We had already entered into a contract with them when this money was made available to us. We were approached by the state that they had these funds that we could utilize. So basically what we had to do was change order out on the other contract, the amount of area that these pavers would take up, and change order in some of the additional work.
This additional work that we just talked about previously, this was on top of the up to $475,000?
It is, but from the CDBG funding, there's an additional $285,000 that was to cover the green infrastructure work.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Ferry Street and Hamilton Street reconstruction projects.
Larry, you're up again.
Ferry Street was previously let with bids exceeding the engineer's cost opinion. On March 1st, 2016, the City Council formally rejected the bids through Resolution 52, 2016, with anticipation of combining projects with Hamilton Street. Ferry Street will consist of approximately 525 linear feet of complete full-width Portland cement concrete pavement reconstruction along Ferry Street between Chester and Finley Ave. Hamilton Street reconstruction will consist of approximately 585 linear feet of complete full-width Portland cement concrete pavement replacement from Osceola Street west to the cul-de-sac. Bids will be received and opened by the City of Ottumwa on March 30th, 2016, and a bid report and bid award recommendation will be presented to the City Council on the meeting of April 5th, 2016. Work under the proposed contract shall be fully completed and ready for final payment within 30 working days with an early start date of May 2nd, 2016 for Hamilton Street and 30 working days with an early start date of June 6th for Ferry Street. The estimate for Ferry Street is $209,334 and for Hamilton Street $160,901.50. The funding will be $200,000 from CIP and $180,000 from lost funds.
This too is a public hearing, excuse me. And if there's anybody in the audience that wants to address this, it's the time to come up. Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll, please.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
The time, place, and date set. Oh, resolution. Okay. Resolution number 71, 2016, approving the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Ferry Street and Hamilton Street reconstruction projects. Pass and adopt Resolution 71, 2016. Recommendation.
Is there a
Move the
motion?
recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Larry? Take the vote then.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the proposed ordinance number 3092, 2016, amending the zoning ordinance 3088-2015 of the City of Ottumwa, Iowa, and as set forth in Chapter 38 of the Municipal Code, City of Ottumwa, Iowa, amending sections 38 through 49, 38 to 158, and 38-178, City of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa.
Good evening, Ed. You have the
Mayor.
floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I have the next three items. The first item is a zoning text amendment. This is the first zoning text amendment to our recent zoning code that was adopted in December. The provisions that it will reference is the fence provision and the sign code and the CS1 zoning district. With respect to the fence section of the zoning code, staff is establishing a fence permit. The reason for that is to ensure that fences are installed properly. If you recall, as part of our zoning code, we relaxed a lot of the provisions in the fence ordinance, made it so that we have greater flexibility with respect to setbacks, material, and heights. And the only way to ensure that they're going to be installed correctly would be to establish a fence permit. In addition, we're looking at provision to remove the 15-foot vision clearance triangle. This would be at driveways and also at alleys. We feel that this provision is complicated, difficult for maybe the installers and also property owners to understand, and it's not necessary. We feel that the established setbacks that we would have next to an alley and a driveway are sufficient for people backing out of the driveway or pulling up in an alley to be able to have a clear vision corridor. With respect to the sign code, staff is recommending an exemption to the sign code for Iowa Department of Transportation logo business signs. They are administered through IDOT. They do a very good job with respect to it. They have strict requirements, and it would be required to amend the code in order for them to establish these particular signs within the city. In specific language, the blazer signs are required for businesses that are not directly off the off-ramp. They would be allowed to have 2 within the city. Those signs would be placed on existing signs that would be in the city's right-of-way. The city would be part of the approval process for the placement of the signs, but we would not be administering the program. And then lastly, under the CS1 zoning district, staff is proposing to remove city council for approval of the site plans. This would be consistent with our site plan approval process that is established as part of Appendix F of the municipal code. This would make it consistent instead of having 2 different approval process based upon zoning districts. In addition to that, the Planning Commission would be the final decision for site plans. This would be projects that are over 5,000 square feet that are in multifamily, commercial, and industrial zones, with an appeal process to the city council if an applicant felt that the conditions were inappropriate or they wanted to challenge that. So you would be involved in that process if there was an appeal for that. On March 7th, 2016, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with a 6-0 vote. Mayor, I'm available if you have any questions.
This is a public hearing, and so if there's anyone that wants to address this item, now's the time to speak up, please. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second. Thank you.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Ordinance number 3092, 2016, amending zoning ordinance 3088, 2015 of the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and set forth in chapter 30 of the municipal code of the city of Ottumwa by amending sections 3849, 38158, and 38178, city of Ottumwa, Wapello County. Recommendation passed the first consideration of ordinance number 3092, 2016.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Ed?
Ed, I've got a quick question for you.
Go ahead.
Talking about cutting out the triangle, the site triangle on alleys and driveways. Does that still apply with fences in front yards and stuff where they abut streets? That triangle that,
This is mainly for the street side yard, but it could apply for the front as well. I mean, the front we're talking about, actually, this would be the street side yard that would apply to. It wouldn't be for the front because the front requirement is a maximum height of 3 feet for a solid fence, and then you could increase it as long as it had a
see through it.
Correct.
So we will have no vision triangle anywhere in our code, in our zoning code for that type of thing.
We still have a vision triangle. This is consistent to what talking about at intersections. I think it's the 30 feet from either the curb or from the street,
right?
20 feet from the curb or the street at a triangle at an intersection that you can't go over 3 feet high unless you had opacity that you could see through that.
That's still maintained though, correct?
That is still maintained, yes.
Okay, all right. And then second question, are you sure you don't want the council interfering with you guys' decision to pass site review plans?
Well, the reason we brought that up is when we were going through the zoning code, the CS1 zoning district.
That's a joke, Ed. I'm just kidding. Well done, man. I'm all for this.
Any other comments? Okay, take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the proposed ordinance number 3093, 2016, amending zoning ordinance number 3088, 2015 of the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and as set forth in chapter 38 of the municipal code of the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, by amending sections 3860, 3861, and table 3834, city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa.
Go ahead, Ed.
Mayor, this is the second amendment to our zoning code for the C4 zoning district. This is a downtown mixed-use district. The proposed amendments are to remove the references to minimum lot area, side area, and maximum total parking and yards standards. This is included within the development summary table. adding new land uses, both permitted and conditional uses, to the land use matrix, and then establishing downtown design standards applicable to site, building facades, and signage. In particular, with the downtown design standards, the sections are addressing the intent, overarching limitations, architectural requirements for building and building size, mechanical and electrical equipment, materials and awnings. With respect to signage, under the design standards, it addresses position and location for acceptable signs, lighting, color, and fonts, signage materials, signage types, and signage allocation for wall, blade signs, window, ground, marquee, plaques, banners, murals and artwork, and detached signs. On February 9th and 11th, staff had sent out letters, 85 letters, to the property owners and business owners, and invited them to a meeting in which staff presented the C4 district. We had positive comments. We had 22 individuals show up to those meetings. On March 7th, 2016, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval, and the vote was 6-0. Mayor?
Okay, this is also a public hearing, so this is a time for anybody who wants to address this item. I'm pleased that you sent letters to all the businesses and had such a nice response. Seeing nobody coming to the podium, let's entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Ordinance number 3093, 2016, amending zoning ordinance number 3088, 2015 of the City of Ottumwa, Iowa, and is set forth in Chapter 38 of the Municipal Code of the City of Ottumwa, Iowa by amending sections 3860, 3861, and Table 3834, City of Ottumwa, Waco County. Recommendation passed the first consideration of ordinance number 3093, 2016.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Ed? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
This is a time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the proposed ordinance number 3094, 2016, amending zoning ordinance number 3088, 2015 at the City of Ottumwa, Iowa, and is set forth in Chapter 38 of the Municipal Code, City of Ottumwa, Iowa, by changing the zoning classification and properties located generally described under Section 1 from C2 to C4, City of Ottumwa, Waco County, Iowa.
Go ahead, Ed.
Mayor, this is the first zoning map amendment to our adopted zoning map. This is part of the implementation strategy as part of our zoning rewrite to have the downtown zoning district to be the first one that we would bring forth a map amendment, and that's what we're bringing to you tonight. There was no rezonings as part of the adoption of the zoning map, and that's why we have to have an amendment for it tonight. This amendment, there is a correction that I have of the boundary description that is attached in the dais for you. That addresses just directional references to clarify the boundary. The district boundary has not changed. We have a copy of the boundary that is, I believe, put on the TV. We'll look at as well. On March 7, 2016, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with a 6-0 vote. I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions for Ed? This is a public hearing also. If there's anyone in the audience that wants to address this item. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So move.
Second.
Take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Ordinance number 3094, 2016, amending zoning ordinance number 3088, 2015 of the City of Ottumwa, Iowa, and is set forth in Chapter 38 of the Municipal Code of the City of Ottumwa, Iowa by changing the zoning classification on properties located generally described under Section 1 from C2 to C4, City of Ottumwa, Waco County. Recommendation passed the first consideration of ordinance number 3094, 2016.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Ed?
Just, go ahead. Well, just to thank you, Ed, I know in the rewrite that took a year, a little over a year, a couple of things that you impressed upon me were that we would be open to amending, that we'd be flexible, and I think these are awfully good examples of that, and yet I feel so good that we have a structure in place. So it's fair to everybody, so thank you for your work.
And I was just going to say the same thing. Thank you, you and your team, for all the work that you've put through in this. And it's going to be nice having a good solid layout for our codes going forward.
If I could just comment, Mayor, I mean, it's been a collaborative effort within our department and other department heads. And specifically, when we're talking about the C4 district with Main Street, Ottumwa, with the chamber, with the legacy and other stakeholders that we had helped us to put together this document as well.
Great. Okay, ready to vote? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 58, 2016, awarding the contract for hauling biosolids from WPC Ecosystems, Inc. of Ottumwa, Iowa. Recommendation, pass and adopt Resolution 58, 2016.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Good evening, Cam, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Every 5 years, the Ottumwa Water Pollution Control Facility renews our biosolids hauling contract. The contract is for 1 year with 4 one-year renewals. 4 bid proposals for hauling biosolids were sent out for this project. Only 1 bid was received during the bid opening on March 3rd. This contract will pay Ecosystems, Inc. of Ottumwa, Iowa, 2.55 cents per gallon or $153 per 6,000 gallon load, wet hauled and land applied. The cost to haul and land apply pressed biosolids will be $27 per dry ton. An alternate bid, which shows a sliding scale, allows for fuel adjustment costs.
Okay. Any questions for Cam? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 65, 2016, approving change order number 1 for the ultraviolet disinfection project. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 65, 2016.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, Cam, you're up again.
Thank you. This change order is for the repair of concrete damage beyond the original scope of work in the chlorine contact basin. This repair is necessary to prevent further deterioration where the influence slide gate is located. Failure to make this repair would result in this concrete deteriorating to the point of the gate no longer being functional. This change order increases the contract sum $2,988.95, bringing the new total to $815,988.95.
Any questions for Cam? Okay, take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cam.
Resolution number 76, 2016, approving the professional services agreement between the City of Ottumwa and Calhoun Burns and Associates, Inc. for the Jefferson Street Bridge Joint Repair Rehabilitation Project and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution 76, 2016.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Good evening, Larry, go ahead.
This agreement is for Calhoun Burns and Associates of West Des Moines, Iowa, to provide engineering services in association with the Jefferson Street Bridge Rehabilitation Project. The scope of work will include preliminary design, final design, and bid phase services. The City of Ottumwa began the process of soliciting qualified firms to provide this type of service for this project in October 16th, 2015, when requests for qualifications were sent to 3 firms. A review committee was established consisting of several engineering staff plus Councilman Dalby. Responses were received from all 3 firms, and interviews were conducted with 2 firms on November 23rd, 2015. Following the interviews, it was determined that the Calhoun Burns and Associates Inc. qualified for this project. The Jefferson Street Bridge Repair and Rehabilitation Project will consist of replacing the deck joints and repair and replace relative structural elements of the Jefferson Street Bridge over the Des Moines River. All work shall be in conformity with the Iowa Department of Transportation and Highway Bridge Construction Standards. The consultant shall furnish complete specifications, drawings for this project covering the work to be constructed. Total compensation is estimated to be $94,500. This is based on repair of 8 joints and repairs within the north enclosure contained within the Jefferson Street Bridge. One of the other things that we're going to do is the preservation and paint of each joint area. That's where the majority of the damage or deterioration has occurred from joints leaking over the years. One of the things that we had discovered was these joints are no longer made. Last time that we did work on the joints, we had to actually find the original manufacturer, and they were able to locate the original die and extrude the original joint material. That's really not an option anymore. The total funding for this project is under the 2015 CIP at $1.75 million.
Any questions for Larry? And Councilman Dalby, you were a part of the committee. You want to make any comments?
Well, I just wanted to thank you, Larry, for including me in that process. That was, that review committee was very interesting. It gave me a look into seeing what actually goes on and how detailed and selective that process is. So it was a really eye-opening experience to get down into the detail that you guys do in engineering.
Well, the Jefferson Street Bridge is a unique structure because it has so many different design features in it as far as type of bridge spans. One of the things that we were looking at and part of this process will develop is how many more years of useful life do we think we have out of that structure? And then once that's determined, because of the length of this bridge, and it is a viaduct, which means it goes over the railroad tracks also, it's going to be in a very expensive project when it comes due to be replaced. We're hoping at least 20 years out, if not a few more.
Any other questions or comments? None, take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 77, 2016, approving change order number 1 for the Jefferson Street Parking Lot Improvements Project. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution 77, 2016.
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Larry.
The city council approved this contract in the amount of $324,113 to Turner Concrete Construction through resolution number 9, 2015 on January 6, 2015. The project entailed replacing the parking lot and the alley between Green Street and Jefferson Street. And shortly after council approval, the city was made aware of additional community development block grant funding from the Iowa Economic Development Authority if stormwater best management practices were incorporated into the project. Legacy Foundation hired Genus Landscape Architects to design these improvements. Due to the significant change in the project scope, the Legacy and the city determined the project was best suited to bid a second contract, and that's what we acted on earlier tonight for the best managed practices, and then address the remaining changes to the project scope to Turner Construction in a change order. The change order consisted of adding federal requirements that accompany CDBG funding, adoption of the Genus plans and specifications, and adoption of a new schedule of bid items and pricing, and extending the substantial completion date till July 22nd, 2016. The change in pricing involved deleting selected unit bid items and adding revised unit cost, as well as additional work items. And then we have it listed. One of the things that also come into play with these two projects. They're really one, but we had to do a retaining wall or a new security fence around the substation. We worked with Alliant Energy and their engineers to come up with something that was a little more decorative than what was there. And that all took place at the same time they was completely rehabbing their substation. So there's been a significant amount of work in that corridor. So that's going to be the first item that comes in. The intent, but there was some misalignment in work schedules between Alliant and Turner Concrete for the wall to be installed last fall late. So that'll start the project shortly. Once that wall is completed, then you'll see them come in phased approaches on the actual parking lot itself.
Great. Any questions for Larry? Yes, Bob?
Yeah, well, Mayor, just a thought. The Iowa Economic Development Authority stepping in, is that partially, in your opinion, Mayor, partially because of Main Street, the facades, Market on Main, all the things that they saw, the efforts that this collaborative group had put into Ottumwa, that maybe they stepped forward?
I think you're exactly right. I had the chance to visit with the team from Des Moines when they were here, and they were very complimentary not only of the building renovation, but the entire effort of the city to work with other partners, again, the Legacy Foundation, the utility company, our city engineering department. It was a great collaborative effort, and so they voluntarily offered up some additional funds that we probably wouldn't have been able to take advantage of. So I think everybody needs a pat on the back for a good job and continue the collaboration and good working relationships. Any other comments or questions? Okay, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Ordinance number 3091, 2016, approving the temporary regulations for RAGBRAI events. Recommendation passed the first consideration of ordinance number 3091-2016.
Before we get into that ordinance, I'd like to call your attention. I think we left one street out of the ordinance, and I would like to ask for a motion to amend that ordinance and add the 100 block of Church Street to the original ordinance, and it has not been published yet, so it's safe to do that. We would need to amend it. So is there anyone willing to make an amendment?
I will make the motion to amend the ordinance to contain the 100 block of Church Street as well.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? I did discuss this with City Attorney Joni Keith, and we feel we're in good shape, but we wanted to be sure that's the block between the tennis courts and the Bridgeview parking lot, which has been used in previous RAGBRAI, and we wanted to be sure that was included. So
I have a quick question on that.
Sure.
On that amendment. Is that enough on Church Street to include in that?
Well, we think it is. It runs down to the overpass, basically, where the highway goes over Church Street. And Larry, you were involved with that in 2009. I think, as I recall, we had vendors and food shops there coming from the Cook. I think it's Cook.
Cook, yes.
Yeah, from Cook going to the bridge, and I think that would be adequate.
Okay.
Jody, any comments you want to add, or, all right?
You think has the Church Street businesses given their input on that too, as far as what they would like to see as far as Church Street being, closed off or having vendors? I'm new to this RAGBRAI thing, but have they given any input on any of that yet, or would this be amended later if that would?
It can always be amended, but I think our concern was that we wanted to keep the vendors, both food and I would say, T-shirts, souvenirs, that type of thing in a given area. And some of them will need electricity, and that was another factor in considering that. So starting there at the overpass and going to the bridge, we thought was sufficient. Right?
Highway off, and that's where we blocked traffic from Cook down. And that was more of a safety issue with all the riders coming in. That allowed them to come from the park system over and follow the roadway and the sidewalk areas.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? So you're voting on the amendment to adjust the ordinance to include the Church Street addition.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Okay. Now I would appreciate a motion to adopt the ordinance 3091, 2016 with the amendment that you just passed.
Move the recommendation as presented.
Okay, take the roll.
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Of course, this is just the first reading and it will come back to you for other consideration, but thank you for that, so we can give the RAGBRAI committee some direction. Okay, item J, we have petitions and communication. Just one thing I want to mention for the council. I did put in your mailboxes today a one-page summary from a meeting that Larry Seals and Ed and I attended this week with McClure Engineering. We've been talking about housing development, and I'd like you to read that and have some time to visit with you individually about that. We're coming to a decision point where we're going to have to do something, and at some point, if we just keep talking about it, nothing's going to happen. So after you've had a chance to review that, like I say, we'll be glad to have them come and appear before a council meeting too, so they can give you an independent presentation on how they might suggest we tackle this issue in Ottumwa. Andy's already mentioned Blackbird coming, and then the last thing, we did have the super meeting with the first Ottumwa First Committee, and I think the summary of that will be out very shortly, and when we get the summary of that meeting, I would like to again visit with the council and city staff and see what your thoughts are. We're not in a position at this point to do anything, but just make you aware of it, and that's the restructuring of all the civic organizations, economic development, Main Street, Chamber, and possibly including CVB. So we'll keep you posted on that. It's, I think, a move in the right direction for the community. Okay, item K. This is a time that we allow anybody in the audience to come forth and bring an issue to the attention of the council. We have one request from Jody Williams, 2619 Clearview Street. She wants to talk about a sewer backup and private sewer at her residence. So good evening, Jody. You have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor, City Administrator, and Council. It's great to hear all of the great things that are going on in Ottumwa as a longtime resident, and now I'm going to bring your attention to a disgruntled citizen. I'll try to synopsize, but I did send an email to all of the city council members and the mayor and our city administrator last Friday. So I hope you had an opportunity to read that letter. It was sent to the emails that are listed on the city website. So if that's not an email that you use, then you most likely didn't receive my email. But I'll try to be brief. On Thanksgiving, after celebrating with family and Central, we returned to our home at 2619 Clearview, which is part of McCarroll's second edition. That'll be important later on. And to find that water was gushing in our basement so much that it removed the drain cover. And so we ended up with about 6 inches of water in our basement that ServPro category said was a category 3, which means you couldn't determine if it was water or sewer, and so everything in our basement had to go. So my husband, friends, family, neighbors spent that 4-day weekend getting everything taken out of our basement. We did find out we did not have homeowners insurance for sewer backup in our home, and so we proceeded to make some calls. I spoke to Steve Edgington at the city later that week. It was the November 30th, and he directed me where to find a claim form. So my husband went to the city clerk's office that week, picked up a claim form. It took until December 22nd for us to collect all of our receipts for all of the pieces that we had to pay for, such as a new clothes dryer, new pieces on our hot water heater that had to have the pilot light relit several times. And so we mailed all of those pieces along with the claim form to the address listed on the claim form on December 22nd. Fortunately, I bumped into the mayor at Bridgeview Center on January 8th and asked him approximately how long it would take before I could hear back from the entity that was listed on that claim form, and he said approximately 30 days. So on February 2nd, hearing nothing from anyone, I tried to contact that company by phone, only to receive a message that their service was no longer available. And that's when I contacted Bob Jay's office. He said that everything needed to go through him, which wasn't necessarily the directions on the form. And so I did take everything to his office that day. I was contacted, and through that conversation, we found out that the claim form needed to be updated. I was contacted the very next day by Aaron at ICAP, which holds the city's insurance or some of their insurance policies. And we proceeded to have contact over the next several days regarding that particular claim. It involved getting some information from Mr. Seal's office. It involved phone calls from me and also from Aaron. But the final ruling was made on, I believe it was February 18th or 19th, I'd have to look at my notes, that said that the city had no liability or negligence for the sewer backup in our basement due to us being on a private line. Well, that wasn't the first time I'd heard the word private line. I actually heard it on November 27th when Kevin Sylvester entered our home to take pictures after the truck was called to suck the water out of the manhole cover that's in the driveway at 2609 Clearview Street. Roto-Rooter had spent 2.5 hours on our roof on November 27th with 200 feet of line trying to make the water go down in our basement. And it wasn't until, I think is it a Val something truck arrived on the scene and began to pump the water out of that manhole cover that the water immediately receded in our basement. So, one of the questions I asked Aaron from ICAP when he phoned me on February 19th was, if indeed that is a private line, why have we witnessed the city there multiple times, the city crew maintaining that particular manhole cover? And what he said was, quote unquote, the city didn't know it wasn't a public line. So I was getting quite a few mixed messages. At that point in time on February 22nd, I tried to contact Mr. Seal's office because I wanted to have the same information that he presented to ICAP that made it so that the ruling was that the city wasn't liable or negligent for our sewer backup. It took until March 4th when Mr. Seal's secretary, Chris Reinhardt, emailed me the artifacts that were sent to ICAP. And I have a copy of one of them if you would like to see this. And I'm not quite sure who to hand it to. The only thing that I adjusted on it was I put a circle around our home and put our address on where our home is located on Clearview Street. I wasn't exactly sure what the lines meant. There are green lines, yellow lines, and red lines that are a part of that map. I think there are copies. So if you don't mind sharing, I would greatly appreciate that. On March 8th, Mr. Seals phoned me, and I then was able to ask him what the lines mean. And what he told me on the phone that evening were the red lines were public sewers, the yellow lines were private sewers, and that the green lines represented storm sewers. So the conversation ensued that my home is surrounded by red lines. You actually see the big red dot in the neighbor's driveway. That was the manhole cover that was serviced by the city on 3 different occasions, including November 27th, and the last one that we have photo evidence of was December 10th of 2015. I took that on my phone as I was exiting the driveway that morning on my way to work. The next morning on March 9th, Mr. Seals sent me an email that said, as a follow-up to our phone conversation, I want to make sure we are on the same page. On our standard sewer map, red lines indicate sanitary sewer lines, green lines indicate storm lines. In an effort to reduce confusion on the maps provided to the insurance company and then forwarded to you, I directed staff to change the colors on the informational maps to yellow. This allowed a discussion over the phone with our insurance carrier. This color change on these PDFs is not what determines which lines are private or public. So my curiosity still piqued, so I replied to Mr. Seals, and I believe those emails were to the mayor and also our city administrator. Mr. Seals, I would appreciate a map indicating which lines are private and which lines are public then, if the map you shared with me does not indicate as such. Since the ICAP ruling was based on whether or not our line was private or public, I too would like that information. I will note that the information that you shared with me on the phone yesterday, which I thought was the quote-unquote key to read the map, as null based on your email this morning. I look forward to receiving an updated map with accurate information and a key to help me understand the colors. I have yet to receive that information. One of the things that I took away from our telephone conversation with Mr. Seals on March 8th was that he wanted me to prove the fact that I had a public sewer line servicing my home, which I asked what information any homeowner in our community would have to indicate as such. I mean, many of you are homeowners in our community. What piece of evidence might you prove, use to prove that you are serviced by a public line? He said I would need to have records of a city council meeting where my sewer line was approved as a public line. I did, though, take his advice and went through my homeowner's documents. I found a completed appraisal analysis from Weiss Appraisal when we purchased our home in February 27, 2001. It indicates my home is indeed on a public sewer line. I have a seller disclosure, a property condition that the previous sellers of our home, Terry and Arlene Anderson, I believe she was a court reporter at one time in our community, has city sewer system checked as included and in working order for our home. I have a property listing description provided to me from Coldwell Banker on January 3rd, 2001, which lists city sewer under services on the document. Some of the documents that Mr. Seals did provide me were from city council meetings in 1953 and 1955, where the McCarroll's 3rd and 4th edition, which includes the streets of Meadowdale and Kenwood, and actually across the street from us on the east side of Clearview as having something that's alluded to as a private sewer. My home, it was built in 1950. It was in the McCarroll 2nd edition as per a title opinion by Griffin, Dew, and Kinte completed on March 12, 2001. And so it does say that our home was built in McCarroll's 2nd edition. So what I'm asking the city council for is first of all, I would like to see the claim form at the city clerk's office updated, corrected, and have clear and accurate directions. I thought I was following the directions, and I found out later that those were not accurate. I would also ask that all sewers in the city limits be considered public sewers and be maintained and operated as such. And I still would like to have a map that indicates which sewers in our community, especially my neighborhood, are considered private sewers, because I think that would be something that the residents of our neighborhood would like to know. The house, the 2609 property, which is right next door, is now for sale. Julian Campbell is the list agent of that. I found out Kevin Veach's dad is the person who actually built that home. The current owners said they had city crews come out and actually mark where the sewers were, and I am sure that their seller disclosure says they are on a public sewer, just as the rest of our homes do if we are not being served by a septic system. And the last item that I'm asking for is that there be responsibility and compensation for the sewer backup in our. I have the receipts and I have the amount of the loss that we took in our home from November 26th and November 27th of 2015.
Thank you, Jody, for that very complete report. I think what I'm going to ask is that we assign this to our staff and ask our city administrator to research and do the homework that we need to do to be sure that we are in fact operating with public and private sewers, and give us a recommendation at our next regular council meeting as to your 3 requests, including the one for the map. So I'll say 4 things that you've asked for. So that would be, we would have a meeting in first week of April. So we can give you an answer and tell you what we're going to do at that point.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming to the council. Are there any other issues that we need to be discussed, brought up, or talked about for sake of city council staff? Okay. Then if there are none, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Go ahead and take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Time I have is 6:50. Thank you all and good night.